What's good, everyone? It's Mike from Terra Garden. Today's rhythm guitar walkthrough tutorial is going to be for our song One More Line, which is track number 4 on 2018's Karma and Chaos record, the band's second. To play along, you're going to need to be in drop D tuning, which basically means standard tuning on a guitar, except for the bottom string, you're going to tune down one whole step from E to D. So, if I pluck all the open strings, it should sound like this. So we're going to take it section by section. I'm going to first play it at normal speed, then we're going to slow it down and break down exactly note for note what's going on. Let's begin. Here's the intro at normal speed. Okay, so let's break down this intro. There's a lot of little nuances going on, and we'll take it note by note. So we're starting out on an A in the first position, open A, 2 on the D string, 2 on the G string. That's your first hit. Then your second hit, you're taking your pinky and you're hitting the 5th fret on the E string, muted. Then you're going back to this A chord, except it's going to be muted instead of open. So that three note pattern is. Next note, you're still staying in the A position, but you're taking your middle finger and you're positioning it on the 3rd fret on the A string to make a C. And you're going to hit that open. Then you pull off and do another open A chord. So all together. Then the 2 notes after are a 4 on the G string and a 5 on the D string. So. And then we do a slide from 3 to 5 on the bottom string. And while you're at the 5th position, you hit the 5 on the A string, and then again on the E string. So back to the barring the 3. So 3 on the E string, 3 on the A string, and then back to 3 on the E string. So. And the last note is 2 on the E string. So all together, slowly. Sorry. The second part of it is basically the same except for the very end. So it'll be. So instead of the second ending is just 3 on the E string, 3 on the A string, and then 2. Then when the drums kick in, very slight differences. So this is still the same. Except at this part, Johnny and I are harmonizing while he's still doing. I'm now doing the higher one. So that is 3 on the B string and a 4 on the G string. So. very last tail lick of this is open 2, 2 hits, and then an open, muted open D, then a quick hammer on from 2 to 3 open, and then open, followed quickly by a D chord, 2 on the A string, 3 on the 2 on the G string, 3 on the B string. So altogether that is one more time. Okay, for the hammer-on pattern, what we're going to do is we start on the A string, and we're going to go open, 2, 3, and then quickly to an open D. So and then very similar pattern right above, we're doing a hammer-on, double hammer-on, 0, 2, 3 on the D string, and an open G. And ending on 2 on the G string. And that's the whole pattern. So let's play it all together slowly. Okay, the next part is basically pre-verse 1, which is during Johnny's first main solo. So I'm going to play the rhythm at normal speed, then we'll break it down. Okay, so let's slow down pre-verse 1 and see what's going on. We're going to take it note by note because there's a lot of little nuances as well as muted and open notes. So the first hit is an A, open A, and a 2 on the D string. So second hit, 2 on the D string, 3 on the A string, which makes a C, muted. Then we're going to take our finger off, back to an A, open A, and 2 on the D string, except this is muted. So the first 3 notes are. And the next hit is going to be a 3 on the D string and an open A, which is open. And then back to an A, once muted, once open. So. And then another muted A hit. And the next hit, we're going to do a 5 on the A string and a 2 on the D string. Open. So slowly. And another muted A. And this time, the next hits are going to be 3 on the A string and 2 on the A string. Open. And then a 5 on the A string and a 2 on the D string. Open. And an open A. Then a muted A. So just to slow down from there. This one is going to be a hammer-on the D string. So open A. You're going to have your finger on the 2nd fret on the D string and quickly hammer it on the 3rd one. Pull off from 3 to 2 again. And then A and D completely open. So. And then very similar pattern to continue that. And then we're to end it, we're doing a barring the 3 on the bottom strings, picking up from E to A to the D string. Last hit is open. And then down to 2, same thing. Except this the top is muted. And then the last 2 notes is a 4 on the G string and a 3 on the B string. So let's play the whole thing very slowly all together. The only big difference between the first and the second half of pre-verse 1 is the very ending. So the ending for the first half, we were doing. For the second half, it'll be, you're still barring the 3, going up the strings E, A, D. Last hit is open. Then we go down to a 2, a muted hit. And then we're going to do a hammer-on the D string from 0 to 2. So slowly. That's it. So for verse 1, we're basically playing the first half of pre-verse 1 twice. Except the only difference, the second time I'm just going to be opening up the ending, no muted notes. I'll show you. That's basically it. So now I'm going to show you the chorus. All right, so to break that down, start with an A chord, open A, 2 on the D string, 2 on the G string. Next chord is a D, open D string, 2 on the G string, 3 on the B string. Strike them all together. Next, we're barring the 2 on the bottom 3 strings. Another open hit. The next hit you're going to do, you're going to hit the 2 again, but as soon as you do, you're going to bend up to, with your finger, you're going to bend up to the 3 and then down back to the 2. So it should sound like this. And then we have a couple open hits on open strings. The very first ending, right before you start up again, is just a muted chug. And the second ending, I'm just doing a slide to lead into the next part. So all together. The following part is pre-verse 2, which is Johnny's second main solo, and it's the exact same thing as pre-verse 1 except for the very tail end. So at the end of pre-verse 1, I did the hammer-on here. This time, we're going to go same thing where you're barring the 3, going up the strings. Quick chug on 2. And then we do the fill is different, so 3 on the B string, 4 on the G string, open E, and then a 3 on the B string again. So Okay, so verse 2 goes on for double the length of verse 1, and I'll explain the differences. For the first half of verse 2, it's basically the same thing as verse 1, except the second time around it's a little different, so I'll show you. So as you might have noticed, the big difference was just that very ending. So what I did was, barring the 3, going up the strings, as we've done the whole time, and then I hit a open 2, muted chug, and then slid. So the second half of verse 2, we're basically playing exactly what we did in the first half, except it's all open hits. There's no mutes whatsoever. I'll play it right now. So just to break down the differences there, I'll play it slowly. I'm sure you'll recognize the similar pattern from verse 1. Tail end of each one is also slightly different too. So we're basically doing open 3 hits, and then down to 2. 1. So second time around is the same exact thing, except the tail end is 3 hits on the 3, and then we're doing a squeal on the bottom string for 2. Muted chug, and then a slide, which will lead into the chorus. So all together. Chorus 2 is identical to chorus 1, so we're going to skip right now to what I call breakdown 1. I'll play it full speed, and then we'll slow it down. Okay. So, we're starting out barring the 2. That's on the E, A, and D string open. And with your pinky, you're going to hit the E string on the 5th fret. You're going to do a slight bend and then just pull off. Open, muted chug. Then we're going to go to a D chord, 5 on the A, 7 on the D. C, D, C. So slowly all together. And then a open muted chug. So we're basically repeating this part again. The 2, 5, do a slight bend, pull off, open muted chug, and then open D. And while that rings out, we're going to do a harmonics on the 7th fret. This is the actual fret. You lightly lay your finger on top of it, and we're going to go down the strings from E, B, G, D. So it should sound like this. Johnny's doing the harmony on that, which is the 5th fret. So all together. Then once again. End with the no harmonics this time. And that's basically it. Okay, then we have breakdown 2, which is my main solo. It's basically recycling what we did in verse 2. So for 4 times, we're gonna do the muted part. And then the last 2 times, we're basically doing the open part of verse 2. So the very end of that, we're just hitting one more chord on the 2. Breakdown 3 is when Paul's vocal solo kicks in, and then I'm going to show you what the guitars do when they creep back in. So just to break that down, we're basically building up the volume and the suspense as everything kicks back in. So we're starting just hitting the bottom note of 2 on the E string twice, and then going to 5 twice, and then back to 2 3 times. So it should be slowly. And then we're going up to a D chord, 5 on the A, 7 on the D, 4 hits. C, D, C. So D, 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 C, D, C, C, C. All together. And then the second half of that is almost the same thing. And then we're going to set up the big D chord. So bottom 3 strings are open, 2 on the G string, 3 on the B string, open E, and just hit it more intensely with each hit. All together one more time. I also open myself up a little bit more as it goes on. So now we're getting into chorus 2, which doubles chorus 1, and I'll explain the differences in the second half. Right now I'll play it full speed. So to slow that down, so as you notice, I did it 4 times instead of twice like chorus 1. The first and the second time now have the same ending, which is that little muted chug at the end. So during the third and fourth time, right before the I'm muting this on 2 4 times, so it's, and then the same thing as the 4th time. So the slide. Okay, so we have post-chorus 2, which is basically using the first half of pre-verse 1 twice. Which is open A string, 2 on the D, 2 on the G. So while that distorted A chord rings out from post-chorus 2, we go into our clean picked outro. I'll play it full speed and then we'll break it down. Okay, so let's slow down that outro progression and see it note for note what we're doing. So we're going to position ourselves 12 on the E string, 13 on the B string, and 14 on the G string in a chord together like this. Our first hit is an open A string, and we let that ring out as we're plucking the other notes. Then it's 12 on the E, 13 on the B, 14 on the G, then again 12E, 13B, 14G. So all together slowly. When we go to the next chord setup, we mute that bottom A string that we just hit. So it'll go like this. Notice how the sound stopped from below. So the next place you want to set up, you want to do a 10 on the E string, 12 on the B string, and 13 on the G string. And the pattern's going to go like this. We're going to go up, 13 on the G string, 12 on the B string, 10 on the E string, then again 13 on the G string, 12 on the B string, 10 on the E string, and then 13 on the G string and 10 on the E string. So it goes like this. And the next half of that is 13 on the G, 12 on the B, 10 on the E, 13 on the G, and then we're going to do a hammer-on pull-off on the E string, 13 to 10, 12 on the G string, 12 on the B string, 13 on the G string. So that whole chord together. One more time. The next chord we move on to is basically a C, so we're going to do 8 on the G string, 8 on the B string, and 8 on the E string. That's the order of how we started too. So then 10 on the E string, pull off back to an 8, then back down, 8 on the B string, 8 on the G string, and then a 10 on the D string. So and then we go back to where we started with the A, 12 on the E, 13 on the B, 14 on the G. So to continue that, same exact thing as the first time. And then even the next chord progression is exactly the same. Except you're going to start to notice it slow down a little bit when it gets to that ending point. And then back to the C, it's going to go slow. And then the final chord of the song We're going to do open A, 7 on the D string, 5 on the G string, 5 on the B string, and 7 on the E string. Pluck it all together. And that is the end of the song, guys. Alright everyone, if you enjoyed watching and learning from that video, you can always like and subscribe to the channel, as well as leave a comment for any additional support. Anything is truly appreciated. So we'll see you guys in the next video.